Hi and welcome, it's Jennifer McGuire. Today I'm doing something a little different. This is a project showcase. So instead of focusing on a technique, I'm going to show you 3 cool interactive projects using new products from Waffle Flower. The first has a pop-up house inside of the card. So when you open up the card, you see this. The other has window shutters with a window that opens up with a message inside. And then finally one that has a pull tab, so these little mice can move towards each other and kiss. So let's start with the house. Here is the card. I wanted to show it to you before we get started. So this is the outside. I just have a simple little house and a white heat embossed sentiment. And then when you open it up, the coolest thing ever, this little house pops up. Now this is really a fun project to put together. Lila did one even. So I'm going to walk you through how I assembled it. And it's one of those things that once you do it once, it's easy to figure out. I use the new Waffle Flower pop-up house die set for this. This set has lots of pieces in here to decorate the house after you've assembled it. I'm going to first show you how to assemble it. You need to do some die cutting to start. On the left is the roof, so you need to cut that from whatever color cardstock you want for your roof. In the middle, from white cardstock, that's what I used, are the 2 pieces that are like the mechanics of the house, allowing it to pop up. And then with the house piece on the right, you need to cut 2 of those. That will be the outside of your house. I want to have a blue house today. So I have all my pieces die cut here, and I'm going to start with forming the house itself. So I'm going to take just the pieces that are shaped like a house and keep those 3 out. Okay, so on this, there are little score lines. Whenever you see a score line, you want to fold backwards. That's kind of how these dies work when they kind of create a little crease. You always fold backwards. So I'm doing that on the 2 blue pieces. So there's a fold there right next to the front of the house, and then a fold for a little flap on the end. On the white, there's a score line there, so I'll fold that back. On the chimney, there's a score line that I'll fold back. But this panel right here, see this little circle with a plus on it? That is Waffle Flower's way to say to you to fold it forward instead. So this one panel, I'll fold forward instead. Okay, so now I have all the pieces kind of folded the way they need to be. So now let's create the house. So I'm going to add these 2 blue pieces to each other. So I'm using a tiny piece of strong adhesive on each of these little flaps that you see here. I recommend some kind of tape like this because that's super strong. I'm going to remove the adhesive from one of the flaps. I'm using the line on my work surface to make sure that I glue these together straight. And I just connect the 2 house pieces. Now I can flip this over, and you see this little house shape on the end here? I'm going to glue something to that. This is the back of it. Now there is that white mechanics piece, kind of a weird shape, but this is going to glue right here, and it's going to cover almost all of that little house shape. This little white piece looks kind of funny, but that's one of the mechanical pieces that allows this to pop up. So I'm going to put adhesive onto the back of this little house shape, and I'm going to make sure to not seal my door shut there, and I'm really only putting adhesive towards the center left. I'm then going to remove the release paper and add that little white shape and line it up with the top of that little house there. And now it's going to just stick out into the center. Looks kind of weird, but it'll all come together shortly. The nice thing is that white cardstock shows through the windows and the door on the front of the house too. Okay, so you see this white piece here. It also has a little flap on the edge. So we're going to put some adhesive right up against the edge of that. Again, use something very strong. I'll remove the release paper, and that little flap is going to fold in and meet with the other house shape. So this will kind of be a mechanical piece that's inside of the house that we won't see. This white piece will be. So it's going to meet up right there, meets up perfectly. And now we have that little mechanical piece inside of the house. Now there's one last thing we need to do to this house, and that is to close it. So remember, there's still adhesive on the end of that little blue flap there. So I'm going to remove the adhesive. And what I like to do is kind of flatten everything down and tuck this little guy in there and glue it to the back of the front of the house. And there we have a little pop-up house. It doesn't have its roof yet, but we'll add that in a moment. Okay, so I have a 4¼ by 5½ inch note card here, and we're going to add the house to the inside. Now we need that other mechanical piece here, that white piece. And all of these flaps have a plus on them. Remember that circle with the plus inside? That means you're going to fold it upward instead of folding it backwards. So you see I'm folding that flap up there. I'm going to fold that one in too. And now we have a little mechanical piece that's going to glue our little house into our card. I'm going to flip this piece over and put some strong double-sided tape right up against the score lines on each of these flaps. So you'll see I'm putting thin pieces of tape right up against the score lines. There is this tiny little flap there. I'm even going to put some against the bottom of that too. This will ensure that your house stays put inside of your card. So there you can see all the tape right up against the score lines. Now that bottom there, the V shape, I'm going to remove the release paper from that first. That is what's going to attach to our card. Now this, I'm going to line the center of that V up with the score line on my note card. So there's a score line in the center of our little V shape here and a score line on our card. I'm going to line those up and press it down. And then I'm going to open and close my card a few times just to make sure that it's all moving freely so that I can add my house to it without having any problems. So now I have these little flaps sticking up. I'm going to take my house and notice our house is kind of divided into two on the inside. And those fit right over those flaps. Remember how there's that tiny little flap over there? It fits in that tiny little room in the house. So what we're going to do is remove the release paper from those flaps. Remember there's some adhesive on those little flaps. I'm going to remove that and put our house onto it and press it onto this adhesive. Now this seems kind of weird, but once I made one, actually Lila and I made the first one together, I was able to put this one together very easily. And I plan to make a few of these for teacher cards. So I'm pressing those flaps to the inside of my card, and now it's going to open and close nicely. So you can kind of work it a little bit and make sure that it's opening and closing nice, but really everything is engineered so well with this that it's pretty easy to put together. Now it's time to add the roof. The roof that you see here I ended up not using. I switched to a darker color cardstock. But basically you just fold along the score line, and then you see that little hole there? That's where you put the chimney in. So the chimney has a little flap on it. The reason there is a flap on the chimney is so that the roof stays on, because you're not gluing this roof onto the house. If you glued the roof onto the house, the card wouldn't close. So you want to make sure that the only thing holding the roof on is that little chimney, and it really works well. Now for the front of the card, I created a little house that matched. I took one of those die cut pieces and cut off this little flap so that I just have the house front. And then I used a sentiment from this Waffle Flower stamp set and white heat embossed it below that. And then remember that die has all those little decorative pieces? I glued those onto the house on the front of the card and to the house on the inside. I also used a glitter pen to create little snow and then also add some little highlights to our wreath. Here you can see the house in the inside with all the little accents added to it, and I even created some vellum smoke coming out of the chimney. Bravo to Waffle Flower for creating such a well-engineered die set. So much fun to make. Okay, so let's move on to the second interactive card for today's video. This one I had a ball with. This has little shutters on the outside, and when you open up the shutters, there's a window, and when you open up the window, there's a place to write your message, or you could even put a gift card in there if you wanted to. I combined a few different Waffle Flower products to create this card, and it was so much fun to do. First, I created my little critters, but I changed them up a little bit. This is the Waffle Flower Books and Coffee stamp set. A lot of fun images with the large book and the coffee. You can have the animals peeking out from them. There's even a die set that allows you to put these all together nicely. But I decided to have these little critters peeking out from the window instead. I also decided I wanted to have them each wear a scarf. I don't know why, but I thought it'd be fun. So I stamped them with black ink on white cardstock, and then I used a black pen to draw a little scarf on them. I'm not an artist, but I did as good as I could, and I think it turned out okay. So after I stamped and colored all of these, I did cut them out. There are coordinating dies available, but since I added those scarves, I just cut them out by hand. Next, I created my little window using the new Waffle Flower Arch window die. So these little windows will open and close, and there are also small dies included to create like a flower box on the window. I'm just going to use the frame of this today, and I die cut it from white cardstock. I wanted to put blue behind all the window panes. So I have my little pieces that came out from these two little windows, and I'm going to cut some blue cardstock to be slightly bigger so that I can glue the blue piece behind each of those two window panes. I will also cut an arch from that blue cardstock that will fit behind the arch on top of that window. So basically, I'm just backing up all of those windows with some light blue cardstock. Now I wanted my little critters to look like they were inside the house, peeking to the outside. So I'm going to glue them all to the back of the window frame. So I just have them kind of peeking in from the sides. It's very easy to do. This little bear, he's even going to be peeking in from that little window flap that will open up. So I'm just putting adhesive only in the areas where needed, and they'll peek through. After I have all of my critters adhered to the back of the window frame, it's time to add our backing. I'm going to start by adding the blue rectangles to the back of the panels that will open up. So I'm just putting glue on the back of the window frame pieces. And now I can flip this over and fold those windows. I'm just going to kind of fold along the score line that arch window die created. And I'm just going to use my bone folder to make sure that they're creased nicely. And then I can also add the little blue arch piece to the back of the top of the window also. So now we have blue showing through and the little critters. Now it's time to create the note card our window will go in using these shutters. So I have the Waffle Flower window shutter die. This is 5.5 by 2 1/8, which is half the size of a typical note card. Now we need to create the card base these shutters will go on. To create your card base, you need a half a piece of cardstock, which is 5.5 by 8.5. We're going to score this twice. Instead of once in the middle, we're going to score it twice. Each time is going to be 2 1/8 of an inch from the ends. So you can see the 2 1/8 of an inch mark on my trimmer. I put a little black line. I'm going to score both ends that way, and then I'll fold those in and crease them nicely, and those two ends will meet in the middle. So the overall size of this is now 4 1/4 by 5.5, which is what I typically make. Now it's time to add the shutters to this note card. So I die cut 4 craft colored shutters from that Waffle Flower shutter die that I showed you. I'm gluing 2 of them to the front flaps and 2 of them to the inside flaps. So you see the brown shutters from the inside and the outside of this card. Now the arch window that we created earlier will fit nicely in here, but it's a little snug since I put so much on both of the pieces. So I find it best, the easiest way to get around this, is to trim just a hair off of both sides of this arch window. So I just use my trimmer and just cut a little hair off. I mean, it is the tiniest bit. And after I trim that little bit off both of those sides, it fits nicely inside the shutter card. So now I can glue this piece into the shutter card, but you want to be sure not to put adhesive behind the 2 little window panels that we want to be able to open so we can have a message inside. Now please know that the card design that I'm doing here is pretty involved. I'm combining a bunch of products together. You could definitely use these products in a much simpler card. Okay, so now I can go ahead and glue this into the shutter card. Remember, those little flaps sticking up don't have adhesive behind them so that they can open up nicely so we can write a message in the inside, and it'd even be fun to put a gift card in there. Now I wanted something on the front of the card, so I decided to take a heart and a sentiment from the new Drink to That stamp set. This is the little stamp set that you see here. I like the message that said, "Hey, hi, hello." So I white heat embossed that on a black cardstock strip, and I glued that black cardstock strip onto a red heart. And now I'm putting adhesive just on the left side of that heart and that strip so that it only adheres to the left shutter. That way, when it's closed, it looks nice and centered, but when it opens, it just stays adhered to the left shutter. We don't want to glue our card shut here. So I'm going to place that kind of towards the top there and press it down, and you can see how it looks nice when it's closed, but it opens up easily. And there we have the completed card with even room to write a message on the inside. Okay, moving right along to the third interactive card. This one has a pull tab on it, and this one's fun to put together. I like that the tab is kind of hidden, so you don't see it on the front of your card as much, and it's got a place for you to pull it. So I'm going to show you how to put this card together next. This uses the new Waffle Flower Cold Hands stamp set. Has some really cute images in this. I used 2 of the skating mice that will skate towards each other and kiss in the center. I also used the new Waffle Flower Pull Tabs die set. This die set is genius and really makes pull tabs very well engineered, so you can really have a nice interactive card. Now from the pull tab die set, I have die cut the pieces you see here. This long strip, the tiny little piece, and the 2 half circles. Now this long strip has these 2 little notches. They look like shutters. I'm going to call them shutters that fold up and stick out. That is key to making this card work, and it's genius. But we need to plan out where our pull tab should go. So I have all my pieces stamped and die cut here, and I'm just kind of positioning them where I want them to be. So I want my mice to start right about there and have this guy move back and forth. So I'm going to use a pencil to kind of draw where he is positioned. I'm going to draw a straight line on my card right down the center of him, and then a straight line horizontally right from the center of him. This will allow me to know where to put the pull tab and where to make the pull tab start. So I have those light pencil lines on there. Next, I'm going to create the little notch on the side so I can pull the tab out easily. This is a really nice finishing touch. So what I need to do is use this little notch die. There are 3 different size notches in the die set. I decided to use the medium one. I'm going to use some tape to tape this right up to the edge of our card, and I'm lining the notch up with that horizontal line that we created. I'm making sure that the edge of the notch die lines up with the edge of our cardstock, and then I'll put a little piece of tape there and run it through my die cut machine. If you have a small circle hand punch, you could use that instead, but I didn't have one to the right size. So now I'll run this through my machine and it'll cut that tiny little notch for me. Next, I have the slit die from that pull tab die set. This cuts 2 long slits. Now I'm going to tape this down onto the front of our panel here, and I'm going to make sure it lines up with that horizontal line that we created, and it comes close to hitting that notch there on the right. I'm going to put some tape on this, and then I'll run it through my die cut machine. However, I want to limit how much of a pull this has. So I only want it to die cut to the right of this point, to the right of that vertical line that I created. Now this sounds complicated, but it's very easy. What I want to do is put the cutting plate over that die up to that vertical line we created. So it only cuts the slits up to that vertical line, which you'll see in a moment. So I'm just partially die cutting it. You can make it cut all the way along and just put a stopper for where the pull tab should go, but I think this looks nicer. So now I can erase all of my pencil lines here, and you can see the 2 slits that go right up to our vertical place where we wanted it to stop. So remember these 2 little shutters on our pull tab? I'm going to pop those 2 little shutters through those slits and then pull the little shutters out to the other side. So this is the front of our card. The pull tab is to the back. You can see those 2 little shutters that came through those slits. I'm kind of opening the shutters up. And now I'm going to put a little bit of strong liquid adhesive on these little shutters. So right on those flaps that are folded open. And then remember that tiny little rectangle that our die set created? Here it is right here. I'm going to put that right onto those 2 little shutters and hold it flat there. So we're gluing that little rectangle onto that. So after this dries, watch, I can pull the pull tab and that little rectangle moves back and forth. So anything we glue to that little rectangle will move. But first we need to trim this pull tab down and add the little handles to it, these little blue things. I'm going to add one of them right now. So I have my pull tab pushed all the way in. I'm going to take a little foam square and cut it in half and put the foam on the back of this little handle and then glue it right onto the pull tab. So there is a little arrow that points on this. The die cut actually cuts a little arrow. So I want to make sure I don't put any adhesive right behind that so it doesn't show through. So I have my adhesive on there, and now I'm going to line it up with the notch, center up my pull tab so it comes out center there, and then position it right on top. Now there is an Open Me stamp set from Waffle Flower that I'll stamp pull on this too, so somebody knows to pull it. Now I can cut the extra of that pulled tab off with my scissors. Now it's time to add this panel to the front of a card. I trimmed this panel down so it is 4 inches tall and 5.5 inches wide. And I have a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch white note card. So you see a little bit of the note card at the top and the bottom. Now I want to make a notch on my note card also so that the handle is easy to grab. Now you could totally skip this if you want to, but I really feel like it gives a nice finished look. I'm lining the panel up on the front of my note card, putting little marks where the notch is on the panel so that I can put a notch right onto the front of my card too. So I'm taking that same die, going to line it up with my pencil marks, line the edges of the die up with the edge of my note card, run it through my die cut machine, and now I have that little notch in the front of my card that matches perfect with the panel that we're putting on top of it. Before I add the panel to the front of my note card, I'm going to go ahead and decorate the panel. So onto that tiny little rectangle that moves, I'm going to put some foam tape and then add the little mouse to it. So this now will allow that mouse to move side to side. Next I have my other mouse, which I'm covering with double-sided tape on the back, and I'm just going to glue him right there over our slits, and that other mouse will come up and give him a kiss. They kind of run into each other a little bit, so I decided to take a tree, and I'm going to put glue on the back of the tree, glue that up right against that mouse, and this will actually act as a stopper. So when the pull tab comes up to it, the mouse stops and they kiss nicely without ramming into each other. I also added a couple more stamped and die cut trees, and then I free cut with just scissors and some light blue paper a little ice pond for them to skate on, and I glued that right below the 2 slits that the pull tab has. I put a little red heart in one of the hands, and I also stamped a sentiment up on the top, and you can see how easy that moves back and forth. Last thing we need to do is add this onto our card. So I'm going to use some strong double-sided tape, and I'm going to put this all over the back, but we just want to make sure we leave enough room for that pull tab to move. Now you can use your tape to kind of guide the pull tab to keep it going straight, but you want to make sure you don't put it too close because you don't want it to get stuck. So I put it kind of close here, about 1/8 of an inch away from the pull tab. And then I use my anti-static powder tool, just so that if any exposed adhesive, like on the edge of the adhesive tape, if that touches the pull tab, it won't hold it. So now I can glue this onto the front of our note card, the notches match up, and we have our little pull tab. Now the last thing I need to do is put the blue handle on the back of the pull tab too, just like we have on the front. So I can use some foam tape and glue that little guy right onto the back. Now these little details take a bit of time, but really add a lot to the finished card. I just feel it looks so finished with the little tabs and everything looking lined up. I also stamped pull onto that tab and stamped a few little blue hearts kind of falling down like snowflakes in the sky. So I wanted to show you the Open Here stamp set from Waffle Flower that I think is really useful. It has a bunch of tiny words in it, such as pull here, push here, shake me, all stamps that are great for interactive cards. And with light blue ink, I stamped pull onto the pull tab, just so that it would be obvious what to do. I tell you, this card was fun to put together also. I just had a ball using all these products. Now I also created one more card, but I ran out of time in this video. It's way too long as is, so I'll share this over on my blog, but it uses the new Waffle Flower Stitch Peonies stamp set, which looks like faux cross stitch, and the faux wood grain layering stamp set that creates the most beautiful wood grain background. So be sure to head to my blog to see details on this card too. So thanks for watching such a long video, but I hope you liked these interactive cards. If you are looking for the supplies, I linked them in the YouTube description below, of course. Or you can head over to my blog for lots of photos and more information. I appreciate you watching. If you haven't done so, hit subscribe, and I hope to see you back soon. Have a wonderful week.